For Hebrew, I use the Biblical Hebrew Grammar of Page Kelly. John 1:1 include 3 sentences. The first one is, in the beginning was the Word. And you can amplify your understanding of the Hebrew word by revising the connection with other related Third, by using a concordance, you need to examine the frequency of the word in the biblical corpus. You will see your key words are used in other contexts by different biblical authors in their books. So you can determine how the word has been used in other related chapters, or in the whole book, or in a section of the Hebrew Bible or the New Testament Greek. To make this point clear, let's say you are studying the word kabod in Isaiah 6. So you can check the use of the word in the entire book. Even better, to check how Moses used that word in the Pentateuch. You can select some Bible reference to use or to check that expression, because some words occur more than 100 times in the Bible. With this procedure, you have to look carefully how your key word is used in your small unit or your pericope, your small section of study, and what is the meaning of the word, or what the word implies according to the inner context of the small section. Let's take this example. If we explore Isaiah 6:3, one key term in the first sentence is the Hebrew adjective kadosh, which occurs 116 times in the Old Testament. This adjective, according to the lexicons, could mean holy, sacred, consecrate, singled out, separated, ordained, among other meanings. Lexicons provide that information. As I have said, the word kadosh occurs 116 times in the Old Testament, considering its general context. And the word also appears in the different contexts that gives an enlightenment on the meaning of the word. Kadosh appears connected to things, for instance, holy place in Exodus 29 verse 13, holy day in Nehemiah 8:11, holy warriors in Numbers 5:17. Kadosh is also applied to persons in Numbers 6, Israel in Numbers 15, and priests in Leviticus 21 verse 8. In the book of Isaiah, the Shabbat is kadosh in Isaiah 58, while God and His name are considered kadosh in Isaiah 1 and 57. So what is the implication of kadosh in Isaiah 6:3 in light of the inner context? English translation put it, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. What does kadosh mean here? The equivalent term for the Hebrew word kadosh, holy, in Akkadian language is kadashu. which means to be pure, to shine, according to a concise dictionary of Akkadian. In light of this insight from the cognate languages to the Hebrew language, an element of incomparability can be inferred because of the essence of God's nature. Therefore, the Hebrew expression Kadosh in Isaiah 6:3 may refer to the purity, the hidden glory of the Lord. Such is the impact of the Lord's Kadosh that Isaiah sees himself as ruined because according to him he is unclean. The contrast is clear between him and unclean and Adonai, the pure or holy God. If you are doing exegesis in the Old Testament, it is important to compare your passage with ancient textual witnesses. By textual witnesses, I mean the Greek translation, for example, which the most common version is the Septuagint. The Targumins also are important. The Aramaic translation are a valuable resource, even though sometimes they enlarge the translation to interpretations. The Samaritan Pentateuch is another important textual witnesses for the first books of the Bible. The DCL Scrolls also helps a lot. Unfortunately, we don't have the scrolls of all biblical books in Qumran, but this resource helps to compare the text of the Hebrew Bible. We can consider in this group the Peshitta and the Vulgate as well. So I encourage you to give a look at those textual witnesses and check their translations. You will discover that as they translate the text, they provide ancient perspectives for the biblical interpretation, and that is important for translation. For the New Testament, the fact that it is an eclectic text means it is more complex to do, but it is also useful to compare different codex or manuscripts of a single verse. Codex Bassae and Codex Vaticanus are a couple of resources among many other resources for the New Testament Greek. Now let's move to another section in exegesis process, the literary style analysis. Biblical writers put their own literary imprints as they write. They use a determined genre or combine more than one in a book and other feature of literary style. Biblical authors use a literary device, for example, named parallelism. One clause is put in parallel to another clause. Sometimes the authors use the synonym, and other times they use the antonym as a main resource. See a simple example in Psalms 103 and verse 10. He has not dealt with us according to our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquity. There are another resource, it's called chiasmus. Chiasmus is a literary figure in which words, grammatical constructions, or concepts are repeated in an inverted order, A, V, V, 8. There are a short example. I provide a literal translation of Psalms 91 verse 13. Letter A, upon the lion and the cobra, and B, you will treat. B, you will trample down. A, again, the young lion and the serpent. That is a chiasm. The structure of the pericope is also important in order to get more insights about the meaning of the pericope. The following example show the structure of Amos, chapter 5, verse 4 to verse 6. And the first part, the object of the message is evident, the house of Israel. And the following line is implied to seek the Lord and they will live. And in the middle they have a reference to many places like Gilgal, Beersheba, and Bethel, the usual places to worship at that time. And in the last part, again, they repeat, seek the Lord and live, and they use the verse darash and chaya, and as they use the verse 4, and finally the object of destruction, the house of Joseph, that's in parallel to the house of Israel. For this literary structure, we can identify clearly that the focus of the message is the people of Israel. And it is also an exhortation to abandon the religious formalism expressed by using all traditional places of worship and to seek the Lord as the unique way to survive and discover a true life. According to the literary genre, there are also other rhetoric figures you can explore for getting a clear understanding of a single word or a passage. It includes hyperboles, metaphors, synecdoches, personifications, parables, and so on. The analysis of the figure of a speech gives us a meaning that is not evident in a simple reading. I will present an interesting example. It is found in Amos 5, verse 7. The verse says, "For those who turn justice into wormwood." So what is the meaning of the figure of the speech wormwood? It is a metaphor for bitterness. It is a figurative language representing justice in Amos' time. Another important literary device, particularly in the prophetic literature, is the symbolic language. In the book of Revelation, the woman in chapter 12 and the beast in chapter 13 are used as symbols of the church and religious powers, respectively. Meanwhile, the beasts of Daniel 7 represent kingdoms. The next procedure, exploring intertextual connections between two passages, is also important in doing exegesis. Sometimes authors quote a biblical author, and sometimes they allude a motif or a phrase, an event. Other times we can see the echo of influence of an early author on a later writer. Let me give you a short example. The brightness motif is evident when God leads the Israelites during their wilderness experience. The text in Exodus says, "And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. Exodus 13, verse 21. It seems Isaiah 62 alludes to the brightness motif in Exodus to help us to learn about the glorious experience of the people of Judah as they return to Jerusalem from Babylon. Let's see. Isaiah 60 verse 2. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the peoples. But the Lord will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you. God promises a brilliant future for Jerusalem in Isaiah's time, as God provides light to his people in their wilderness experience during Moses' time.